Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for coming to our meeting. As you know, the board scheduled this meeting as an informational meeting specifically to talk about the proposal for a park district in Shenorock. If you look around the room in a couple of places, there's a map which outlines the proposed district, and you can see what the district is proposed to be composed of, which residences. I'm going to give you a little bit of history about how we got to where we are today, and then we're going to hear from our town engineer, who's going to talk about some of the studies that he's done with regard to the properties. We'll hear from our town attorney about some of the legal requirements that are associated with the project, and then we're going to answer some questions that have already been submitted to the town via email over the last week or so. And after that, we're going to give an opportunity for all of you to ask questions or make a comment if you wish. I do have a list of some people who have already signed up to make a comment. You do need to sign up, so if anybody wants to sign up, there are sign-up sheets on this table right down here in front of me. And after we go through these, I'll pick those up as well, and we'll be able to go through those names as well. I would ask that everybody keep their comments brief and succinct. We can be here until 10 o'clock tonight. After that, the school district needs to finish their maintenance in this room. If we need to have another meeting, we can have another meeting. But I just would ask that people, respect each other, of course, in their discourse, and also, keep your comments succinct so that we can have everybody have a chance to be heard or to ask their questions. Back in 1977, Lake Shenorock was closed to swimming. Some of you that are here may recall that prior to that date, Lake Shenorock was an active swimming lake. It had 2 beaches. We have pictures in the townhouse, actually, of swim meets and events like that with Lincolndale and Shenorock and some of the other lake communities in the town. But back in '77, because the lake was being used as an additional water supply for the Shenorock community, the lake was at that time closed to swimming. The UOA owns 3 properties, or 4 properties actually: the lake, the clubhouse, a parking lot or parking area across from the clubhouse, and also the 9-acre parcel. And back in '77, the 9-acre parcel was used for baseball and things like that. Prior to that, there had been some dumping that occurred on the property. And the clubhouse, up until recently, was used as a dance studio, I believe. But the occasional event is still takes place there. But certainly back, in the heyday of the UOA, the clubhouse was used with some regularity. After the close of the lake to swimming and the beach, the membership in the UOA declined, and then we move forward to 2003, and in 2003 there was a proposal by the Affordable Housing Board in Somers to build affordable housing on the 9-acre parcel of property. That proposal was opposed by, I would say, the vast majority of people in Shenorock, in the neighborhood of Shenorock. And as a result of that opposition, the UOA got new life. At that time, the membership had dwindled to really just a handful of members. But people became interested in what would happen to 9 acres and the other properties, and so they joined the UOA, and it started to revive itself. At that time, the UOA decided that it was going to look to studying what its options were with regard to the properties, and in particular the lake. The UOA, I think, did a survey back then, and they asked the residents of Shenorock, what are you most interested in? Is it the lake? Is it the clubhouse? Is it the 9-acre parcel? And the majority of people indicated that it was the lake that they would be interested in seeing revived. That was back in 2003. So over the course of the time, the UOA spoke to various other lake communities in the area, getting some ideas as to what they could do, how they could revive these the lake and other properties. They came to the town in 2006 with a petition which was signed by many, many people. I didn't count them all up, but I think it was somewhere around 400 people in Shenorock had signed the petition, and they asked the town to look at the issue and to consider making a park district of the properties that exist. So the town, seeing that the interest was so high in Shenorock on this subject, said they would take a look at it, but in order for us to assess whether or not the town could acquire the properties and make them into a park district, we had to do environmental assessments of the properties. And we did what's called a Phase 1 environmental review on all of the properties and a Phase 2 environmental review on the 9-acre property, because we all knew that there had been dumping in the past. And that work is part of what Joe will tell you about, part of the work that we engaged Woodard and Curran to do those studies on behalf of the town. And in what they were looking at in the course of those studies is the possibility of the restoration of the lake and the beach, mitigation of the environmental issues at 9 acres, and redevelopment of that parcel as passive recreation, and demolition and/or restoration of the clubhouse. So that's how we kind of got to where we are today. That study was done by Woodard and Curran, and what came out of that study was some information about the 9-acre parcel and about the lake and whether or not it could viably be restored, as well as about the clubhouse and whether or not it could be restored or the other option is to demolish it. And so that's kind of how we got to where we are today. We've talked about the results of that, of those studies at town board meetings, and we really wanted to engage the residents of Shenorock in the discussion. We found that we were not engaging people too much, and we were talking about it, but we weren't getting a really broad array of people coming out. So I'm glad to see there's a lot more people tonight than we've seen at some of the town board meetings in the past, and I know that that's a result also of discussion that's occurred in the neighborhood amongst yourselves as to the pros and cons of a park district and whether or not it's beneficial or not to the neighborhood. So that said, Joe, I think I would pass it to you to talk about what some of those studies are, and as I said, we have a format that we're going to follow, and we will definitely get to your questions as well.